Hello and welcome to Schooling, a concept which is disruptive in the world of education, radical in its approach, and yet one of the most progressive things that we can find in today's time. I'm your host Dawood Waid, and I'm an avid quizzer, the founder of Sky Education and Golden Sparrow. Have been all across, born in Kolkata, raised up in early schooling in Andaman Nicobar, engineering from Chennai, did and piloted this project with IIT Delhi and the conferences there, and now settled down in Mumbai. And yes, I'm a Gujarati like a prime minister, so you can call me a very much global Indian. And having seen so many children, so many schools, this is what I propose in this presentation. How will happen to the schools in 20 years, 2 decades from now? Well, the 21-day lockdown and a little more has changed the very face of education. I'm talking 2 decades, and are we preparing ourselves? The changing environment, what kind of technological changes, and how, what skills do our kids need to raise up in an environment like that? To begin with, let me be honest and candid and say, yes, I love schools, a product of my school, and schools are great for peers, for discipline, for routine, for learning, for exams. But are we changing enough? If you look at the last 15 years, some of the best names and companies that we can think of, from Kodak, Blackberry, Nokia, Compaq, Blockbuster, they have gone extinct. And if I can increase the list, oh yes, there's so many projects that even Google could not sustain. For example, there was an Apple Maps. The Apple Maps did not sustain. You see, Yahoo was finally bought down for peanuts, and Toys R Us don't exist. Will the same happen to our education and our schools primarily? I wrote a book called The Education Riddle, and I think it's a small journey and my effort to talk about all the things I've learned in education. In that, I start a chapter by a popular story of Rip Van Winkle. Rip Van Winkle slept for 100 years, and when he got up, he went to the city he no longer knew now. The malls had changed, the roads where he saw the horse carriages have fast cars. People are speaking on their own with small devices which he doesn't recognize. And he felt he has come to a different planet. Until Mr. Rip Van Winkle went to the schools, and there he saw the familiar chalk whiteboards or blackboards, the benches, and he realized the world has not changed so much. Well, that is the whole essay I wrote about, that we teach children about Roman letters. Take a moment and guess what this number means, and most of you will guess MCM. Well, C stands for century, M is 1,000 years, and this is 1934. But the only time you and I see Roman numbers are in the aesthetically looking clocks in our houses. Why are we teaching rote learning, redundant knowledge to our children when we don't see the benefit of it? History, for that matter, we are making history such a boring subject by memorizing dates, remembering names, asking questions, but not making it relevant enough. No wonder history has become digging the graves, as they say, the quote that we have. Or for that matter, English. And I got a lovely WhatsApp message which says the English teachers are waiting for the pandemic to end, the schools to start, so that they can give the assignment to the children. What did you do in the lockdown? Write an essay of 500 words. Well, we hated the only thing after a vacation was when our English teachers asked us to write an essay on it. And I was so impressed by this WhatsApp joke. I sent this to my teacher, my English teacher, Shushila ma'am, a brilliant teacher. I said, ma'am, would you have done it? And she sent a smiley back to me. Can we be different? So here's a little quiz. Of course, on a topic we don't want to speak about, but a different perspective. The Corona quiz, I call it. Maybe change the way we teach so students will change the way they learn. So quickly answer this and hopefully we'll have some fun. Who is the patron saint of pandemic? Simple 4-5 questions I want to ask you. Give me an answer. Guess. You will amaze with the answers. Who is the patron saint of pandemic? Yes, there is actually a lady who is anointed and she is Saint Corona. Go and look at Google. It is a German saint, Saint Corona. What is the name given to a foolish person who does not follow the social order directives? Well, like social distancing, what's the name given to them? Yes, it is COVIDiot. It's an idiot of Corona standards, so it's a COVIDiot. Who is COVIDiant? COVIDiant If you have paused it and got the answer, a combination of coronavirus and obedient, one who follows it. So corona is giving us new things. The fourth question is more interesting, by far the best one. Connect the pictures. You see a crown and you see the shoe-like map of Italy at the Italian flag. I want one word. It's an English language quiz. So what's the English word for it? The answer is coronation, the act of crowning. That's a root word from a Roman word, right? And Caesar also means the king. The word coronation has all these adjectives. The epistemology, if you look at the root word, there is so much we can teach. Oh, one final question. What is Zoom bombing? We are doing Zoom sessions all across. Well, Zoom bombing is so much like photo bombing. You're jumping into someone else's Zoom sessions. So the idea of doing a quiz like that is challenge the way we teach. And this is what I'm coming to. The online learning system is here to stay. Today, we have to embrace technology. Perhaps I'm suggesting that the concept I'm going to explain to you, that we will be doing more of such sessions even when the schools restart, because we need to challenge our children and challenge the way we teach them. Today, the schools are still relevant. In the last context is we are still dependent on the board. Oh, CBSE was always tried and tested. What alternatives do exist? Or maybe if my child does not go to school, the peer pressure from Mr. Kapoor, the three idiot. Or will I crack a IIT or a CAT exam? Well, a lot of my friends did a CBSE or a state board and still didn't crack it. Cracking IIT has nothing to do with your schooling. It has a lot to do with coaching, mentoring and planning and hard work. So I'm not saying all of you should homeschool, but I'm saying look at alternatives and exist with technology. Change is difficult. Ask Martin Luther King or Gandhiji or Mandela and you'll know that the world is changing. So what I'm going to introduce you is a concept that I have called the unschooling. The unschooling is when you have still a concept where children are probably going across, going to different schools, or they have a set of peers where they're learning together with. It could be a family, it could be a group of friends together, but there's a structured learning and it is performance based. You see, competition and collaboration go together. In schools, either we compete very thoroughly or we allow them to collaborate on projects which made of thermocol and chart papers, but never allow them to collaborate on, say, examination. And finally, the idea of unschool stems from the fact that we have a passion project. You know, being born in Kolkata, having seen the quizzing culture, one of my heroes is Siddharth Basu, the one who has, documented the entire KBC, Kaun Banega Karodpati. There was a quiz he used to do called the Mastermind, where the participant will be allowed to take a choice of subject, whatever they want, and the entire examination will be set on what they chose from. So let's say you can say cricket, or you can specifically say RCB, or you may say, my daughter might say flag, somebody may say Titanic, somebody may say Avengers. Irrespective, we will create quiz, questions, examination, essays, math, science around the theme, so a child is learning what they enjoy and we still are testing and assessing them. So the big question that immediately comes after this is, all this is good, which board will my student appear for? I'm using a lot of Cambridge technique, but at the end of unschooling that I'm suggesting, and this is what the discussion is, the student appears for NIOS, National Institute for Open Schooling, a government board recognized by Ministry of HRD, and anywhere you go with the degree with NIS 10th and 12th, you will get admission at the college of your choice. Also, NIS has something called OBE, Open Basic Category, where you can appear for assignments, which is called TMA, Tutor Assignment Led Assignments, at grade 3, 5 and 8, which is similar to the Cambridge IGCSE checkpoints. When I teach a class, I use a lot of IGCSE, so the students learn the international curriculum, but then I also prepare them for the NIOS board for grade 10. Now, you can appear with your college board, with your school board, with a state board, but this is a challenge. We're saying that no, allow your students to also learn digitally so that they upskill themselves. The program I am running is called Golden Sparrow. Yes, Sone ki chidiya. You know, the sparrows are such a lovely species we grew up with. Today, they are endangered. So let's not endanger our children's future and give them the choice of learning. The classes are structured around the old Gurukul system, where it's not just based on one age but a group. So The youngest group, which is corresponding to grade 1 to 3, is called the Curie. Yes, Madame Curie, the only woman to have won 2 Nobel Prizes in sciences. So she is the Curie class. The curious class goes to 1, 2, and 3. They are clubbed together and they are taught. Then comes the right group, the mechanical, the engineering part of it, the discovery part of it, which is corresponding to grade 4, 5, and 6. And then Mandela, we make them activists, we make them champions of causes, where 7th onwards until 10th, they are clubbed into one group. I've been doing pilots, I've done a lot of programs around it, and it is a fantastic, effective way where the children are learning and they're benefiting from it. Yes, the subject choices primarily are three. So we are doing math, science, language. Instead of, say, a social studies, which we'll do as global perspective, we do business studies and economics, which actually has an exam around it. You can pick up any of the Indian languages. In fact, we want to introduce German as a part of it. These are what the unschooling programmers will go through. We use a lot of United Nations sustainable goals. So children are also like the Greta Thunbergs and Malala Yousafzais. They are not only learning, but they become an activist for a one choice cause of theirs. So three primary things that I'm proposing in the summer batch, the 8 week, the 8th session that I'm going to take. Primarily, we're going to talk about the communication skills. And these are three skills that any child will excel in life if they learn until 10th. So public speaking, essay writing, using good language, reading books, that is what the mic represents here, the communication skills. The second one, where we use our own candle curriculum of life skills. United Nations has given 10 life skills. In the first batch, we are taking 2, critical thinking and problem solving, as a life skill. Finally, we introduce STEM, the science and mathematics, along with technology and engineering, where child will develop a scientific temper and application base. So you will have experts coming in, you'll have videos to share with. We'll talk about alien life and wormholes. We'll talk about interstellar galactic. The idea is they develop and have the courage to experiment and fail. So the key zones, as I discussed about, would be entrepreneurship, expression, and the makers lab. Like what we have, the ATL, Atal Tinkering Lab, will try to create those atmosphere in this online session, and hopefully they will enjoy as much as they learn. Some of the resources that you see, the candle curriculum, the brain quest, the technology. In fact, one of them is design thinking courses, a very popular book, which is a Netflix movie, and I recommend all of you to go and read that book or watch the movie, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. A young boy's story from Malawi, fantastically, but this would become a project in this new concept of hub schooling, and the children not only learn, benefit, watch, but they actually hands-on do something around it. So how this whole program work? It is the 8th session beginning next week, which is at the end of April 2020. We start the session for 1 month, 2 sessions per week. IST, Indian Standard Time, which starts at 1 o'clock, finishes at 1:40. Then there will be a certain question answers. Before the next session, the student will be asked a challenge or an assignment, which will take roughly 30 minutes. So overall, you will spend close to 1 hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, most likely 90 minutes per session, and that's twice a week. Also, at the end of the session, every child will be individually given one-to-one counseling, where they will be told of their likes, their interests, the SWOT analysis, the strength, the weaknesses of a child, so that they have an idea what happens. For the younger Curie child, it will be a parent whose counseling will happen. And of course, you always can send your critical feedback, your question, your suggestion in the WhatsApp group, in the email, or personally to me via email or WhatsApp. Every child attending this course will have a certificate of achievement, more like a diploma from us, a gift to all the participants, and prizes to the leaderboards. So we are creating a program which is fun, which is exciting, and for a child it is beneficial. Well, the option of payment, the immediate question that comes in, it is a 5,000 rupees for 8th session, including the counseling, the gifts, and the parents interaction. But I'm opening up for few selected people who join in as PAYM. What is PAYM? Pay as you may. So PAY as you may. It's an acronym we developed. The idea is I don't want anyone who deserves this, and only lack of resource would be finance where they stop themselves attending. So go ahead, book your appointment for any questions you want to ask me. My name is Dawood Wade. At the end, you will see my email address, dawood@skyeducation.in. You can go have a look at our website, see what the course is, and if you are keen, join in for this 8 weeks of real enriching experience for a child. Believe me, it's all about exciting a child. And welcome to the world of hub schooling. All the best. Thank you so much. Goodbye.